Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking at a story that reads less like history and more like a psychological thriller.
Or maybe a tragedy. It's a real case study in what happens when a leader just completely loses the plot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We're talking about a king who starts out, he's checking all the boxes, doing everything right. And then all of a sudden, he just pivots and sets his entire legacy on fire.
It's the story of King Amaziah of Judah. And if you look at the source material, 2 Kings and 2 Chronicles, the trajectory is just baffling at first. It's like a bell curve that just drives straight into a brick wall.
Right. And, usually when we hear about a quote-unquote bad king, they're bad from the start. They're arrogant, they're incompetent. But Amaziah, he wasn't.
Not at all. So our mission for this deep dive is to unpack the 3 phases of his reign. You have this period of compliance, following the law, taking advice.
Then the pivot.
Where success seems to completely scramble his judgment. And then finally, the disaster, a conflict he basically begged for.
So let's start at the beginning. Phase 1. Amaziah takes the throne, but it's not exactly a calm situation, is it?
No, not at all. His father, King Jehoash, had just been assassinated by his own officials. So Amaziah inherits a kingdom that's, unstable. It's dangerous.
That's a lot of pressure. You're the new guy, and the people who murdered your dad are probably still around.
They were. And this leads to his first big test. Once he gets a solid grip on power, he has to deal with the assassins. So he has them executed.
Which honestly sounds pretty standard for the time, an eye for an eye.
It is, but then he does something that is, well, it's completely unexpected. He executes the assassins, but he spares their children.
Okay, why is that such a big deal?
You have to understand the political thinking of the ancient world. If you're getting rid of a threat, you get rid of the whole threat. You wipe out the entire family line. You kill the traitor, his sons, everyone. You don't leave anyone behind who might want revenge.
So by sparing the children, he's actually taking a massive political risk.
A huge risk.
Yeah.
But he does it because he's following a specific law. The text is very clear on this. It says he was acting according to what's written in the book of the law of Moses, Deuteronomy 24.16, to be precise.
I have that right here. It says, "Fathers shall not be put to death for their children, nor children put to death for their fathers."
It sounds like basic justice to us, individual responsibility. But back then, it was revolutionary. It showed he valued the written law over his own personal security.
He's trusting the principles over the playbook of a tyrant.
Precisely. And that's not all. There's another incident in this early phase. He's preparing for a war, and he hires 100,000 mercenaries from Israel. He pays them 100 talents of silver. That is a staggering amount of money.
So he's all in. He's invested.
Ready to go. And then a man of God, a prophet, comes to him and says, "Don't take these men with you. God isn't with Israel. If you take them, you will lose the battle."
Wait, so he just spent a fortune on these soldiers, and the prophet tells him to just send them home?
Yeah. And Amaziah actually asks, he says, "But what about the 100 talents I paid them?" And the man of God basically says, "The Lord can give you much more than that."
And Amaziah's response is?
He listens. He dismisses the troops. He takes the financial hit. He risks angering these mercenaries, who, by the way, get furious all because he listened to this counsel.
Okay, so let's put this profile together. The early Amaziah is pretty impressive. He shows mercy because the law says to. He takes a huge financial loss because a prophet says to. He's humble. He's compliant.
He is. And that's what makes the summary in 2 Kings so interesting. It gives him this grade, but it grades him on a curve. It says he did what was right, but not as his father David had done.
Ouch. You get an A, but it's not an A+ like David's.
It's a bit of foreshadowing. It suggests that maybe the actions were right, but the heart wasn't perfectly aligned yet. Still, at this point, he's a success. He goes to war against Edom without the mercenaries and wins. Big time.
In the Valley of Salt.
A crushing victory. He comes back a hero. He's on top of the world.
And this is where it all goes sideways.
This is the pivot.
So he comes back from this huge victory, a victory the prophet basically promised him if he obeyed. And what does he do?
He brings back the idols of the people he just defeated, the gods of Seir. And he sets them up and starts worshiping them.
Hold on, make that make sense. He just proved their gods were powerless. Why on earth would you start worshiping the losing team's idols?
It is completely irrational, isn't it? And I think that's the point. Hubris makes people do irrational things. He's not thinking clearly.
It's more than irrational. It's a profound insult to the one who gave him the victory.
It is. So, of course, a prophet shows up. And he asks the most logical question in the world. Why do you consult this people's gods, which could not save their own people from your hand?
That is a sick burn. Hey, genius, those gods didn't work out so well for the last guys.
Exactly. But look at Amaziah's response. Remember phase 1, Amaziah, the guy who listened? Phase 2, Amaziah is a different person.
He cuts the prophet off, right? He says something like, "Have we appointed you the king's counselor? Stop, or I'll have you struck down."
He threatens to kill him. Shut up or you die.
That is such a huge shift. What happened to him? Was it just that one victory?
I think it's the poison of success. In phase 1, he was vulnerable. He needed help. Now he's the conqueror of Edom. He doesn't think he needs advice from anyone. He thinks he is the source of his own success.
The classic, "I've got this" trap. He's graduated from listening.
And the prophet leaves him with this chilling final line. He says, "I know that God has determined to destroy you because you have done this and have not listened."
So he stops listening, which usually leads to picking fights you have absolutely no chance of winning.
Which brings us to phase 3, the provocation. Amaziah, still high off his win against tiny Edom, decides he wants to fight the regional superpower, the northern kingdom of Israel.
Just for context, Israel is the bigger, stronger kingdom here. Judah is smaller.
Much bigger. And remember those mercenaries he fired? They were angry and had raided some Judean towns on their way home. So Amaziah has a grievance, sure, but instead of diplomacy, he just sends a challenge.
And the challenge is so arrogant. "Come, let us look one another in the face."
Yeah, that's not an invitation for a chat. That means, meet me on the battlefield.
He is poking the bear. And the bear's response is just incredible. King Jehoash of Israel doesn't just send his army. He sends a letter back, a parable.
It is one of the most savage pieces of diplomacy you will ever read.
Walk us through it.
Okay, so Jehoash writes, "A thistle in Lebanon sent a message to a cedar in Lebanon, 'Give your daughter to my son in marriage.' Then a wild beast in Lebanon came along and trampled the thistle underfoot."
Wow. Okay, so let's unpack that. He's the cedar tree. Massive, strong, majestic.
Right. And Amaziah, he's a thistle, a weed, a prickly little annoyance.
And the weed has the arrogance to ask for an alliance for equality with the cedar.
But notice the ending. The cedar doesn't even have to do anything. Some random wild animal just accidentally steps on the thistle and crushes it.
He's saying, "You are so insignificant, I don't even have to fight you. Reality will just crush you by accident."
It's brutal. And then he drops the metaphor and says it plainly. "You have indeed defeated Edom, and now you are arrogant. Glory in your victory, but stay at home. Why ask for trouble?"
He's giving him an out. He's basically saying, "Dude, calm down. You want a little battle? Don't let it go to your head."
It's the final warning, the last chance. But the text says Amaziah would not listen.
He wouldn't listen. It's the theme. First the prophet, now his enemy. He's deaf to any kind of warning.
And because he wouldn't listen to the parable, he had to face the wild beast.
And so they meet for battle at Beth-shemesh.
They do, face to face, just like Amaziah wanted.
And the battle is over quickly.
It's not even a battle, it's a rout. The army of Judah just disintegrates. Every man fled for his home.
But Amaziah doesn't get to flee.
No, he is captured alive, which in many ways is a fate worse than death. The ultimate humiliation.
So Jehoash, the king of Israel, doesn't just put him in a dungeon somewhere.
Oh no, it's much worse. He drags Amaziah back to his own capital city, Jerusalem. Can you imagine that parade? The king who started the war is marched in chains through his own city gates.
Awful. And it gets worse for Jerusalem, too.
It does. Jehoash breaks down a huge section of the city wall, about 600 feet of it. He loots the temple, takes all the gold and silver. He raids the palace treasury.
But then the final insult.
He takes hostages, probably members of the royal family and nobility, and then he leaves Amaziah on the throne. A puppet king with no wall, no treasure, and no honor.
It's a total and complete collapse. And it all traces back.
It all traces back to that moment he stopped listening. Think about the irony. The king who starts his reign by showing mercy to the children of traitors ends his reign by causing the children of his own people to be taken as hostages.
The mercy of phase 1 is just. It's completely erased by the arrogance of phase 2.
Which forces you to ask, where did he really lose? It wasn't at the Battle of Beth-shemesh, that was just the outcome.
He lost the moment he threatened the prophet.
I think so. The moment he decided he was too successful to be corrected. The moment he read that parable about the thistle and couldn't see himself in it.
And what's terrifying is that he didn't start that way. He started as a listener. It's easy for us to look back and say, what an idiot.
That's the danger. Hubris isn't something you're born with. It's a disease that grows on success. Amaziah handled adversity just fine. He couldn't handle success.
Success made him deaf.
Exactly. When you're winning, you can start to believe your own hype. You assume that because you were right once, you'll be right about everything.
And that's when a thistle starts to look like a cedar in the mirror.
And that's when you desperately need someone to give you a reality check.
He had so many. He had the law, the man of God, the prophet, even his enemy gave him a warning. 4 of them.
And he ignored the last 3.
So as we wrap up, I think that's the real takeaway here for us. It's not just about some ancient king.
Absolutely. If a leader like Amaziah, who was capable of doing the right thing, could get it so wrong, what makes any of us think we're immune?
Right. We all have our little victories, our own valley of salt, and in those moments, it's so easy to feel invincible.
And that is the most dangerous moment.
So here's the thought to leave you with. What parable, what warning might you be ignoring in your own life right now, simply because you feel like you've already won?
Is there someone telling you you're acting like a thistle and you're just too proud to hear it? How you answer that could determine if your walls stay standing.
On that note, thanks for diving deep with us.
Always a pleasure.
We'll see you next time.